Thank you for watching the Community Spotlight. It's a pleasure to have you tuning into the show today. I have an awesome guest here in the studio, a wealth of knowledge, highly intelligent entrepreneur in here with us today. We have CORETTA Livingston. How you doing today, CORETTA?
I'm doing awesome, Tia. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad to have you here today.
I'm happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
Okay, so we're going to get a little bit into your background. I mean, your story is very inspiring. You're an overachiever. Everything you touch turns to gold. So I'm pretty sure that there are people out there that can learn some life lessons from what you're doing and also enhance the projects and the things that they have gotten into. So I want to kind of start with your background. Right now we're in Charlotte, North Carolina. Are you originally from here?
No, I'm from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I graduated from North Myrtle Beach High School, and I always wanted to be in television. Actually, I was just sharing that story with you, and went to USC in Columbia, South Carolina, and after doing some of the schooling for it, I realized that that wasn't quite the direction. I like more the marketing and promotions part of TV and radio and just business in general.
Okay, so what was you kind of exposed to when you tried to do, well, you did do this as a minor. Mm-hmm. What was your major also?
My major was hospitality management, which was hotel, restaurant, and tourism. You know, being a girl from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, all I saw was hotel and tourism. Mm-hmm. My goal was to be some type of exec at Disney World or to be a general manager at a Hyatt Regency hotel. That was my thought. Never wanted to work in restaurants, but the first professional job I got was working at Red Lobster, which was with Darden Managements. And that was a really good job. It was a good job. I learned a lot, learned how to manage people and how to manage projects.
Okay, so what led to you actually going into media? I know your minor was broadcasting, so you had some of that flavor going on, and you had a great time doing that in college. But what led you to say, hey, I need to shift gears and do this seriously?
Necessity. I actually was doing the restaurant jobs and stressed out, 60, 80 hours a week, couldn't date. I wanted a child so bad. Okay. I was 23 years old, had bought my first house, had everything that I ever wanted. You know.
You was getting it. You was working.
I was doing well. I mean, my goal anytime that I do anything is to be at the top tier of wherever I am. You know, even in that company, I was number 3. I always strive to be at least number 3 in a company. Don't want to be number 1 because I don't want the pressure on my back. Okay. I'll take number 2, but number 3 is normally where I am. And I got to the point with Darden Restaurants where I was at 99.9% of my compensation ratio, which meant no matter what else I did, they weren't going to give me any more money.
So you hit the ceiling?
Yeah, I hit the ceiling. There was, you know, after that, I strived never to be put in a position where there was a ceiling or a roof or a floor. So I had to start looking at things where I can kind of control my destiny. Unfortunately, my mom passed away in 1999.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. She'd owned hair salons. Never was ever interested in doing hair. I'd always said I'd never do hair. Don't like doing my hair now. So, you know, but the opportunity presented itself. I looked at it. I took her salon and put 3 people in it, and they were paying me money every week. So I said to myself, I got to pay for a building. All I got to do is keep the lights and the water on, and they're going to pay me every week. And I was living here in Charlotte. I did that in Myrtle Beach, and I found a building here in Charlotte. I opened it, had 4 chairs in it. I built that 4-chair salon to a 13-chair salon.
Wow.
Didn't do hair. All I did was the marketing and the promotions for the salons. I would go out, put out flyers, talk to people, tell them to come to the salon. 1 salon turned into 5 over a 12-year time period.
Wow.
What I found, I was doing more marketing than the people in the salon really was even interested in doing business. I'd sent a client to someone and they weren't even at work during the day. And I got to thinking, that's really kind of embarrassing for me. So I went to school, learned to do hair, became a master barber, and my goal was to be better than my best stylist or barber. Technically I wasn't, but you know, I did great customer service, so my clientele was bigger than my best stylist or barber. But I got tired. I got to the point I was 40 years old, standing on my feet, and I'm like, I can't do this forever. And I got to thinking, I got all these contacts. What can I do with these contacts? I started sending out stuff for other people, marketing and promoting their businesses. Started doing yacht rides out at Lake Norman and selling out the yacht ride just by using my list, not using any other advertising or marketing. I'm like, you know, this is something that works, but you know, you get stuck. I was stuck behind the chair. One day a lady ran a car through my shop.
Wow.
She made a mistake. She hit the gas opposed to the brakes. That was the last day I worked in my shop. Something told me, this is my sign. It's time to get out. I had a brand new computer that sat on my love seat that was in my room. And I was dating someone at the time who was probably very mentally abusing. Didn't realize it. They always told me that people only got on the computer to date people, and because that was during the time when people were trying to computer date and that kind of stuff. So to avoid conflict with my relationship, I didn't get on the computer. But that day, whenever the lady ran her car through my shop, me and the person I was dating had an argument. And that was really what I needed to say, I'm not thinking about what you're saying. I'm going to do this to get my mind off of this shop situation. I got on the internet and I just kept on going and reached out to some other people who were doing those social media things and internet marketing. And there was a young lady, her name was Kim Hughes. She owns a company called 704 Events. And she taught me about MySpace. And from MySpace came Facebook. From Facebook came Twitter. And I just kept on until I got it right.
All right, this is a very unique story, and it's a lot of key points and highlights I think you touched on. So I'm going to go back and come forward. Now, something that you said that I can really relate to, and oftentimes people don't really think about, is when you're in the position where you hit the ceiling and you can go no higher. And oftentimes that's kind of associated with being a W-2 wage earner, which I believe that you were at the time. And it is a different mentality to kind of shift to commission-based sales or your own business, for example, because you have to do a lot to create the monies that you bring in until you get a consistent flow going. What made you say, hey, I'm going to take that big step?
Well, the one thing that I know, and I tell people this often, you'll go on someone's job and give them 110%, and that person will tell you that you're going to make $15, $20, maybe even $5 or $10, but you still go and you give your 110%. If you're going to do that for someone else, why not do that for yourself? And that's what I realized. I knew enough about me to know what my capabilities were. And knowing my capabilities, when I stepped out, I gave it that 110%. And I never stopped. I mean, I taught my kids. My kids put out flyers. We found things to sell in the salons while other people were working. I was the first person in Charlotte to sell a Cricket phone. I bought Cricket phones. I bought them for $50 and I sold them for $100. We activated them in the salon. My daughter was 3 and she could sell you a Cricket phone.
Okay, that's great. Teaching the kids.
You got to teach them.
The kids need to learn young.
They got to eat, right?
Okay, so now we made this transition. Hey, I don't want a ceiling. I want to be able to maximize my income. And a lot of people don't understand that, because when you're on a W-2 side, it's like a safe zone. This is guaranteed. This is what you're going to get on a consistent basis. But they don't realize once you flip over, the sky is the limit. There is no ceiling there. So your hustle said, hey, let me do that. And then the fact that you're teaching the kids, I think that's a good lesson for everyone to learn, that kids are highly intelligent and that you definitely need to teach them at a young age.
Absolutely. And my first year stepping out on my own, even coming out of the salon in 2008, I had 5 salons. My bills were over $6,000 a month. I struggled every month to pay my bills. Whenever I went into my house and started doing my internet-based business, I had no overhead other than the same house that I was paying for, the same light bill that I had, and I was able to reach out to people and have them pay money to do services that I love to do. That first year I made $100,000. I hadn't seen $100,000 ever.
And how old were you?
I was 41.
Okay.
I was 41, I think. I started that was my 40th birthday year when I started. And
so you gave yourself a bonus.
Absolutely. And I give myself an increase every year. I reinvent myself twice a year. Things that didn't work last year, I take it out and I try something different. We can't keep on doing the same thing and expect different results.
Yeah, you have to have fresh ideas, and I think that's something that you're very creative at. And I want to kind of go back to your mom again. I'm sorry that she passed away, but your mother did something great that most people don't do. She had a legacy to leave, so you was able to step in there and give yourself a boost, and decide, hey, I'm gonna take all this education that I got and apply it here and see if I could take this to the next level. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I'm gonna say this, and I say it all the time. It's almost as if my mom died so I can live, and I live every day. I live every day to make her proud. I also had 2 sisters and a brother. My mom thought enough of me even at age 23. She wrote a note to her oldest sister to say that if anything ever happened to her, that I was to take care of my sisters and my Uncle John was to take care of my brother. And that was at age 23 I was 23 when she wrote that letter. Even today, I take care of my sisters and brothers. Anybody who know me, they know I'm going to get up early in the morning. I'm going to stay up late at night to make sure that my family's taken care of. That's my motivation. I watched my mom as I was growing up. My mom used to make $112 a week. And I would watch her write 112 minus 40 minus 22. I said I would never want to have my children have to see me suffer and take 112 and spread it over a week's time to try to take care of a family of 4. You know, so oftentimes, you know, one of those numbers for me is 112. 112. I have to make $112 a day was what I wanted to make. You know, then it got to the point I wanted to make $112 an hour. When I was able to make that $112 an hour, then I knew I'd achieved what I wanted to achieve. You know, you have to set your sights even on things that you can't even understand. You know, and once you can kind of obtain those things, then they come easy, and you just keep on practicing and making them better and chiseling and adding until you make it what it is that you want to do. I look at things like McDonald's. You know, we got kids who can say French fries before they can even talk and say their names. But McDonald's puts that brand in front of them day after day after day after day. And that's one of the things I did with my brand, which is QC Info Broker. You know, I was QC Info Broker. I had friends of mine spending money with me. They didn't even know it was me.
And you know what's interesting? I actually was receiving emails from you before I met you.
I had to do that.
Yeah.
See,
so how did you do that? I mean, you're kind of like a master marketer with social media, which is the in thing right now at the present time. How did you develop that?
Well, developing that came out of, again, necessity. I didn't have the money to spend on radio advertisement or TV advertisement. So I bought a box of flyers and I got great graphics and I put those things out. But once I got onto that computer and saw I can reach 5,000 people in a second versus it taking me a week to put out a box of flyers, that came easy to me. I used to put out flyers till there was holes on the bottom of my feet. That's no lie. I used to have holes on the bottom of my feet. I'd be embarrassed to go to the nail shop to get a pedicure. I didn't want to date nobody. I didn't want nobody to touch my feet. But that was because I worked so hard. That's the honest to God's truth. You know, but when I learned I can touch 5,000 people in a second, I worked every day to find 5,000 new people. And the thing is, people didn't know who QC Info Broker was, or they didn't know CORETTA Livingston was QC Info Broker. What I oftentimes find, people like to judge you and put you in a box. I'm not someone that will ever allow to put me in a box. I have my own box. I do what I want, when I want, and how I want to do it. You know, if you allow people to put you where they want you to be, then they got their thumb on you, and it's up to them to determine your next move. As I was saying, when I became QC Info Broker, I separated it from CORETTA Livingston because I knew that people were going to say, well, you did hair. You own hair salons. How are you now someone who can do marketing? It's common sense. If I'm marketed 5 salons.
Entrepreneur is an entrepreneur.
Well, no, but people don't get that.
Yeah.
You know, just like you're in radio, now you turn into TV. It's going to take a minute for them to say, well, you do radio. You don't have that ability, but you've been doing TV this whole time. People just couldn't see you. I see that because I'm an entrepreneur. But other people who have that limited mind space, they can't see it. But what I even had to understand, I had to step outside of those people and reach other people who could understand it. I had a conversation with a multi-level marketing guy last night on Facebook. We talked for about an hour. He was trying to get me to buy into his multi-level marketing business. What I had explained to him, I have my own brand. Why would I spend that time trying to build your brand when I have my own? You'd have a better benefit. Let me market your brand to my network. Why beat people up trying to get them to understand what you do and beg them whenever it might be somebody out there who's already looking for your service? What I understood was there was a lot of people out there who needed what I had. I just had to go out and find them.
I would like to know what you would say to small business owners. Most of them fail, I think, within the first 3 years. And I believe it's because of poor marketing. They have this grand idea, but they never actually get into the marketing piece properly. So I would love to know, based off of you being the queen of social media, also you do radio sales with 105.3 as well. And you are very successful there. In fact, just came back from vacation. That's why you look so great. With the master glow going on. I really want to know, what would you say to these people, because that is like a pet peeve of mine. I have this business set up and now I'm okay. And that's not actually the truth.
Well, see, those people, they're not really in business. You got to work a plan, and you got to plan to work. You know, when people go into business and have an idea and they don't have a plan, that's why they fail. You know, one of the major things that I find, even with people with events, they have no budget for marketing. They have no budget for advertisement. You know,
How do you expect people to come?
those are the kind of people. But you know what
Yeah.
I had to learn how to do as an advertiser? I had to learn how to talk to those people and tell them no. I don't deal with everybody. Just because you have an idea and you want me to market your business, I've had to learn to tell you no. But what I do is I give you a plan. I tell you, okay, you want to do this event, you want to do it at Ovens Auditorium, but you have no budget for advertisement.
That's crazy.
Ovens Auditorium seats 2,500 people, and you want to sell your tickets for $60, and no one knows who you are. What's going to make me want to come to your show?
That's a great question.
You know,
that's a great question.
And they have to ask themselves that, whether they're selling cake, whether they're selling cookies, whether they're selling pies. What makes your product any better than anyone else?
So if they say, hey, well, Coretta, you're an expert in this particular area, I want Coretta's master plan, what would your suggestions
My
be?
question would be, what's your budget?
0. No, I'm just joking.
And when they say 0, because I get that all the time, well, we got to sit down, we got to come up with the plan. And I may have to tell them, I can't work with you now, but I'm going to tell you this is what I will need in order to get started. And when you get that, come back to me, because see, you waste a lot of time too putting your energy into a project that someone else hasn't even thought about what their budget needs to be and what their plan needs to be. And see, that comes on the consultant part. You know, you don't go to an attorney and tell them that you want to do, they're not going to waste their billable hours trying to tell you how to come up with the business. You paying them for that.
Exactly.
And my services are just as important as that attorney. I made a lot of people a lot of money in this city not getting paid, and I had to sit back and realize this person has a super. Let me tell you when I realized this. I made a lot of people a lot of money in this city and had not gotten paid doing it because I was cool with them. Whenever my light bill needed to be paid and I didn't have the money and didn't have nobody to go to get that money from, that's when I realized
Not good.
I've got to know my worth. My worth is so much better than being cool with you. You know, I cannot do more for you than I'm doing for my kids. I can't sacrifice my integrity as an individual with the knowledge that I have. There's a value. And someone told me this, his name is Julius. Julius Clark told me that if you can bottle it, you can sell it. If you can bottle it, you can say, if you can weigh it, you can sell it. You know, we look at other people's businesses that we patronize, but we never put ourselves in that business to say, that could be me. You know, we don't say, I can own a chain of McDonald's. You can. All you need is a plan. You know, you can do anything you want to do, but anything that you're passionate about, you can really make it happen. You can make it happen. Now, I want to talk a little bit about QC Infobroker. QC Infobroker came up. I wanted to be a concierge. I told you I worked in hotels, and my best job in a hotel was being a concierge. If anyone knows what a concierge is, that's the person who takes care of everybody. And I was that person. I always wanted to take care of people, but I wasn't getting paid taking care of people. So I had to think, what name can I come up with so that people understood it? Information, QC, Queen City, info. I'm brokering deals. You asking me a question, I'm patching you with this person. So I'm brokering the information, QC Info Broker. And somebody gave me that name too, so I can't even take credit for that. Can't even remember the gentleman's name. I would give him credit for that, but I can't remember. But anyway, I just continued with that. And from that, I met people and started having people reach out to me from other cities. I knew that I was doing okay when I had someone reach out from Chicago, Illinois. Somebody I didn't know. And she asked me to do some marketing for her here in Charlotte. You know, and I got to say to the small business person who's trying to get your business off, don't look for your family and friends that support your vision.
No, most of the time that's not the case.
You'll fail each and every time. If that's what you're waiting on, you will fail each and every time. They're not going to support your vision. It's going to be that person who understands what being an entrepreneur is. It's going to be that person who gets up early in the morning and stays up late. You know, your family member sees you just as you are, little Johnny, little Susie. Until you show them, they won't understand. And even when they do, they're going to either want your services for free or they're going to want it at a discount.
Now, let me ask you this question, because we know QC Info Broker does the media blast in social media, but based off of what you just said, there's many other things underneath that umbrella as well. So can you break that down, please?
I oftentimes say this, I do everything except for sell drugs, prostitute, and strip. There's no limit. I mean, I have clients that are churches. I have clients that are strip club. You know, I do social media. I do email blasts. I teach people how to utilize social media in order to build their brands and their business. I do brand building. I just created something It came to me 3 o'clock in the morning, called brand bags. It's nothing different than a swag bag, but I just put a little spin on it, where I charge a client a certain amount of money to put their information in the bags, but I now go to the clients that I have and put those bags in those people's businesses or services. So it's like a dual purpose. I'm serving purposes and I'm cross-promoting with different clients, so it's not a conflict of interest to anybody. I do event planning. I have an event space where people can rent and do different things. I have an event that I currently do with another gentleman named Amari Harvard. It's called Playdate, something that I've wanted to do for years. You know, when you get 35, 40, you go to saying, man, I hate being in the clubs, which that's been me. I love going to celebrate with people when it's their birthdays, but as far as putting on my clothes to say, hey, I'm going to the club tonight, that's old for me. I've been everywhere, done everything. So when I found Playdate was an alternative to the club. It's an opportunity for me and my friends that's 30, 40, 50, 60, 20, 30. We can all come together and play spades, Jenga, double dutch, hula hoop.
I'm going to have to come see you
this
do
Friday.
double dutch.
I need to see you. I need to see you. We do it. We get sit in. We have a great time. We do signature games like musical chairs and just have a whole lot of fun. We did it the first time we did it in Charlotte under this new umbrella, we had about 400 people. The next time it was a rainy Friday night, and there's not too many people who can get people out on a Friday night in Charlotte. And even in the rain,
especially with the rain,
we had 579 people.
That's great.
In the rain. So, and it was a great turnout. Everybody had a good time. The only thing they complained about was we needed more space, which is a great thing. We want people to say something like that. So we do it again this Friday night and every fourth Friday night at Tempo. Currently, I am looking for a space to do it at like a church or a gymnasium, so I can do more of an inspirational feel, because I want to cover everybody. I want everybody in the city to have something to do where they don't have to feel like they have to be in a club environment, so we're working on that now.
All right, so let's talk about branding and marketing. I want to touch base on that because those are definitely two different things. They're kind of the same, but they're kind of different.
Right.
Can you explain the differences?
Branding to me is putting your stamp on something, so as people see it, they know it's you. My idea for brand is to come up with a logo, to come up with a slogan. So anytime somebody says that, they know it's you. The golden arches, it's McDonald's.
That's right.
I don't care if it's orange, green, purple, or whatever. You're going to know it's McDonald's. Even if someone's trying to take that, you're going to know that McDonald's did it first. And it's important to build your brand and keep it clean. Make sure that people understand that it's you and keep good integrity behind that brand. As far as marketing to me is pushing, letting people know, putting your brand in front of different networks so that people can utilize your services or come to your events or just patronize your brand. It's a lot of work. It's not something that's easy. You got to have know-how. You got to have knowledge. You got to have a lot of
visibility.
You got to. We talked about, internet radio and radio period. You can have a brand new concept, and if you can build that brand, you'll get people to understand, man, I want to hear that. I want to see that. I want to tell other people about it. I want to share it. And you just gain different followers and listeners who will support your brand. Anytime they support it, there's a possibility they'll spend some money, and that's what keeps you afloat. I see people all the time doing stuff that you're not generating no money. It's not really making no sense. To say, again, the guy I was talking to on Facebook last night, he has 124,000 followers. He hadn't made $1 off of his 124,000 followers. And his thing was, he's got the followers and don't even know what to do with them. So you got to know too, once you get the followers, how do you make that something that's relevant?
See, that's why I think it's great for people to line up with someone such as yourself, like him, with his new, I'm assuming this new network marketing company. I mean, you have to go hard with that. So his mind is somewhere else. But in order to be successful, you need the marketing, you need the branding. That's why I wanted to touch base on that, because a lot of people don't emphasize the branding, making sure I'm visible, making sure I have the logo that you mentioned, things of that nature is seen on a consistent basis. And people understand that if I do mortgages, for example, whenever they see my logo, they're going to automatically associate that with mortgages.
Absolutely.
And whenever mortgages come to their mind, then they're going to call me.
You.
So I think it's absolutely great that you do that. Yep. So I just think it's a wonderful thing. Yep. So how did you wind up in radio?
Well, there was a wonderful radio station, WGIV. There was a gentleman, BJ Murphy. He called me one day and asked me to come in. He wanted to talk to me about radio sales. I'd never done radio sales, but I'm always up for a challenge. And BJ called me and we missed each other. I just happened to be on Westinghouse Boulevard and I thought about it. I said, I remember him saying that the radio station was on Westinghouse. So I went by to see him. He happened to be in the studio that day. And I came in, I was talking to him, and he actually put me on the air. And I kind of liked the way my voice sounded.
Was you surprised when he was like, get on here?
He just threw me in there and we just started talking about the same thing we're talking about now, about social media, about email blasts, about Facebook, you know, because one of the things we talked about was adults thought Facebook was just for kids. And for those who have small minds, it is. They get on and they take pictures of themselves and selfies. Not into selfies, I'm into making money on
That's
Facebook.
Right.
So, you know, I'm on Facebook every day, all day, but my purpose is something different, and that's what BJ and I spoke about. And he talked to me about doing radio sales. And again, after I can assess the situation, I can see how that works. And from there, I did radio sales for BJ and for Dr. Neely. And then after that, they gave me a show, and I loved the show. And my show was telling people what was going on in the Queen City. I absolutely loved what I did. That was something different for me because I wasn't used to working with or for anyone. I was still used to working on my own. And again, it's very important to me how my brand is portrayed, you know. And for me, I stayed close to my show. I kept the integrity of the clients that I had on my show. Transitioning with radio, things started changing a little bit, and I decided to get into Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio gave me the opportunity to do the exact same thing I was doing with WGIV. I still had the clients that was paying me to be on my show. I was able to grow my numbers through the social media platform. Even today, I have people calling me asking me to get on my Blog Talk show.
That's what I would like to know. You know, how did you build a following? Because oftentimes people do Blog Talk Radio and internet shows, but you have to have a master plan to have that following over there.
Right.
So you did it through social media.
Pretty much. Well, see, anything that you do, you got to know how to multitask. The success for me has always been multitasking. Even when I was at WGIV, people always said they don't have the following. Well, I always, again, you're not going to put me in a situation where there's no ceiling and there's no floor. As long as I can reach people through the internet and get them to log on to WGIV.com or .org, I can't remember the website, I could get people to listen to my show. I would have people that would hit me on Facebook to tell me it was their birthday, then I would shout them out on the air. So that was a way for me to use both platforms to make that work. You know, and if people knew that they were going to be on my show, I would have them use their social media platforms to tell the other people. If I'm talking to Farrah Gray, which was my best interview at WGIV, the first time that I actually cried hearing his story, and he told people, you know, that he was going to be on WGIV, I was able to reach people in Chicago, again, that I didn't know. That's how I was able to get other clients to actually buy radio advertisement and social media just because of Farrah Gray being on my show.
But see, that's the mind of an entrepreneur. You kind of think outside the box. Hey, what can I do to make this work? What's the system that I need to attach to this to make this work? So I think that's absolutely great.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on the program. We might have to have a part 2 because I have so many more questions
already
for you. Yeah.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Okay.
That's how we do it with some great conversation going on, right?
Right.
All right. So, CORETTA, I thank you so much for taking time to come out on the program. I'm sure that everyone has learned a lot. We appreciate you guys for watching the Community Spotlight. Tune in next week, same time, same place.
It's been 30 minutes.
And I had a lot more questions.
Oh,
You did a great